If you're serious about your training, you know that recovery is everything. But let's be honest, the advice out there is a total mess. Well, today we're cutting right through all that noise. We're going to crack the code on recovery, and we're going to do it using what really matters: hard data. Okay, let's get into it. All right, let's start with the biggest legend in the gym, the anabolic window. We've all heard it, right? You've got this tiny 30-minute window after your workout to chug a protein shake, or all your hard work just disappears. So is this a real biological deadline, or is it just a myth that needs a serious update? The data, as you'll see, has a pretty clear answer. So to really understand the answer, we have to talk about fuel, specifically muscle glycogen. The easiest way to think about this is like the high-octane fuel that's stored directly in your muscle tissue. When you're going hard, lifting heavy, sprinting, whatever it is, this is the main fuel source you're burning through. So at its very core, recovery is really just about refueling those empty tanks. And just how empty do those tanks get? Well, the research is pretty clear. A single high-intensity workout can burn through up to 26% of your stored muscle glycogen. Now, that might not sound like a huge number, but trust me, it is. It's a major energy deficit that your body absolutely has to fix before it can even think about repairing muscle and getting you ready for your next session. This right here is the problem we're trying to solve.
So, how do we solve this problem? Well, the solution starts with one thing: carbohydrates. They're the absolute key to refilling that lost glycogen. But just saying eat carbs isn't a real strategy, is it? We need to get specific. We need a data-driven plan to figure out exactly how much, and just as important, when.
Let's start with the big picture, the daily total. For athletes who are training consistently, the science points to this number right here. You need between 8 to 9 grams of carbs for every kilogram of your body weight, every single day. So, for an 80-kilo athlete, that's somewhere between 640 and 720 grams of carbs. That's the foundation for keeping your fuel stores completely topped off. Okay, now let's zero in on that critical time right after you exercise. This number is absolutely crucial. The data shows that the sweet spot, the optimal rate for intake, is 1.2 grams of carbs per kilogram of body weight per hour starting immediately after your workout. This isn't a guess. This specific rate is what's been shown to maximize how fast your body can restock that glycogen. It's a real quantitative target. And this timeline just perfectly illustrates why that timing is so critical. If you start refueling right away, your muscles are just primed and ready to soak up those carbs. But just look at what happens if you wait. Delaying your carbs by only 2 hours, just 2 hours, cuts the rate of glycogen synthesis in half, a 50% drop. So the window for rapid refueling is very, very real. Which brings us right back to our original question about that anabolic window. You see, the science didn't completely throw out the idea of timing your nutrients. It just upgraded it. The whole concept has evolved from this tiny, rigid little window into something way more flexible and practical, a garage door of opportunity.
And this garage door thing, it's not just some cutesy phrase I made up. It comes straight out of the scientific literature. Back in a 2020 paper, researchers literally proposed this exact term. And it makes perfect sense, right? A tiny window feels like this fleeting chance you're probably going to miss. But a garage door, that's a huge, much more forgiving opening. It's a perfect way to think about the modern evidence-based view.
So here's the bottom line. The old anabolic window idea was all about this strict 30 to 60-minute deadline. If you missed it, game over. The new garage door model tells us that for most of us, what really truly matters most is hitting your total daily carb and protein numbers. Timing is still a tool for sure, especially for elite athletes training multiple times a day. But it's not the all-or-nothing panic attack we all thought it was.
Okay, so we've firmly established that carbs are the star of the show for glycogen replenishment. But here's the thing, they don't have to work alone. Let's look at the data on protein's role and see how it acts as a critical partner in this whole recovery process.
This idea has been around for decades. A really important study from way back in 1992 found that when you combine protein with your carbs, you get this amazing synergistic effect. It significantly boosts the rate of glycogen storage compared to just having carbs by themselves. Turns out, the combination creates a bigger insulin response, which basically helps shuttle fuel into your muscles way more efficiently. And here's what that boost looks like in a chart. It's so clear. If we set the rate of glycogen synthesis from carbs alone as our baseline, that's 100%. Look what happens when you add protein to the mix. You can increase that rate by up to 38%. That's a massive, measurable improvement. So protein isn't just for building muscle, it actively helps you refuel faster. Now let's see how this all works in the real world. This table comes from a study on marathon runners, and it breaks down what they eat right after a race, based on their competitive level. Just scan the rows. You can see a direct comparison in total energy, carbs, and protein consumed between regional runners and the top national or international pros. The numbers here really do tell a story. Let's just pull out the most important number from that whole table. This chart really highlights it. The difference in total energy intake, 4.0 kilocalories per kilogram for regional athletes versus 4.4 for the elites, is statistically significant. See that p-value of 0.031? That basically means this difference is not random chance. It shows that at the highest levels, these athletes are systematically eating more to recover faster. They're living the science we've been talking about. Okay, so we've gone over the what, the when, and the why. We've looked at a ton of data, so let's wrap this up by building a simple, actionable recovery formula that you can actually use based on everything we've just learned. The data points to a really simple target, a 3-to-1 or maybe a 4-to-1 ratio of carbohydrates to protein. So as you can see in this chart, for every 3 or 4 grams of carbs you take in after your workout, you should be aiming for about 1 gram of protein. That's the combo that hits the sweet spot for recovery. So let's put it all together. Here it is, your 3-step data-driven plan. Step 1, target your carbs. Aim for that magic number, 1.2 grams per kilogram per hour, right after you train. Step 2, add that protein partner, somewhere between 0.2 and 0.4 grams per kilogram to get that amazing synergistic effect. And step 3, be consistent. Keep refueling for the next 4 to 6 hours to really, fully restore those glycogen stores. If you remember only one thing from all this, let it be this. Your total daily nutrition is your foundation. That has to be right first. After that, you can use nutrient timing not as some strict, stressful rule, but as a smart, strategic tool to speed up your recovery when it matters most. You know, these numbers we've talked about are an incredible blueprint for just about everybody, but science never stands still. The next big thing in recovery is looking to go beyond even these guidelines to get way, way more personal. This new field is called sport nutrigenomics. It's basically the study of how your personal genetics, your DNA, changes how you respond to different nutrients. The goal is to eventually move away from these general recommendations and create a nutrition plan that is perfectly tailored to your unique body to maximize your performance and recovery.
Pretty cool, huh?
So we've laid out all the evidence, we've crunched the numbers, we've shown how that old anabolic window is really more of a garage door, and we've built a real data-driven formula for recovery. The science gives you the blueprint, so the only question left is, how are you going to use it to build your own perfect, personalized recovery plan?